初めてもらった花束がお別れの花束なんて悲しい。
あら、この前のお誕生日にバラの花をもらったじゃない。
一本ね。一本じゃ花束って言えないわ。
一本ね。一本じゃ花束って言えないわ。So many things we don't know in that sentence, but we won't go into details. First, this thing. In Japanese, you can never count using the number alone. In English, you can say 3 cats, 5 hamburgers, 6 persons, 4 roses, but not in Japanese. In Japanese, anytime you count something, you have to use a counter. It's kind of a suffix that you add after the number. And the problem is that you have a counter for each type of thing counted, which means that you have lots of counters, and so it's a pain in the ass to learn. So let's see a few of them here. Nin, you'll use it to count humans. Tu, to count things, it's the most general one, so if you don't know what to use, you can use this one. Mai is for thin and flat things. Yeah, I know it's very precise. Hon for long and cylindrical things. This is the one that we have in our sentence. So remember that the mother has just said that Chihiro was given 1 rose for her birthday. A rose is indeed a long and cylindrical thing, so she counts it with hon. But unfortunately, with counters, you have lots of phonetic changes that you have to learn. Ichi plus hon becomes ippon. So when you want to say one flower, you won't say ichihon, but ippon. So when you see ippon in a sentence, you know that you are talking about one. So here, 1 flower. Nihon, you know that you have 2. Sanbon, you have 3, etc., etc. And then finally, you have hiki for little animals. So sannin, 3 persons. Ni hiki, 2 little animals. So it can be dogs, it can be cats, it can be turtles, etc., etc. Anyway, when you hear ni hiki, you know that you have 2 of them. And gomai, 5 flat and thin things, so it can be sheets, it can be pizzas, it can be shirts, etc., etc. So for the moment, you can just remember the one for humans. Be careful, the first 2 are irregular because it's the Japanese pronunciation that is used. So you have hitori for 1 person and futari for 2 persons. And then it becomes regular with the Chinese pronunciation. So learn this one by heart because this is the one that is the most important at the beginning. So for the moment, I didn't explain you how to use the counters exactly, but let's go step by step. For the moment, this is enough to remember. So first, little bit. Ippon ne. So the mother says, but you did receive a rose for your birthday, didn't you? And Chihiro answers, 1, right? So just 1. That's what she wants to say, just 1. So here the ne that she uses is a bit harsh. It's like, you know that there was just 1, admit it, and admit that it's not so much. So she's kind of asking for a confirmation, but you see kind of in a nasty way, you see like pushing the answer that she wants to hear. Then the next sentence. So once again, we have ippon. So we know we're talking about 1 rose, the 1 rose the mother gave her. And here the counter is used as a pronoun to recall the rose. Then you have ja. So what is this? Because basically we should have a particle here. Well, it is a particle because it's a contraction of de plus wa. So remember, we've seen that it was common to combine particles together. Ni wa, de wa, to wa, kara wa, etc., etc. And so here in this sentence, this de was got quite a precise meaning, so you can learn it by heart. Noun plus de wa or ja for the colloquial version means with only that is not enough. So most often with a pejorative nuance then. And so indeed, it is the de particle, the one to indicate the means. And adding the contrast wa, you get that meaning of with only that, na 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 na. So for example, you're going out with your friends and your parents give you some money to spend, but they only give you $5. And so since you're a bit whimsical, you say, これじゃ何もできないじゃん. So with only that, I can't do anything. So this first part of the sentence can be literally translated by with only one rose. And then we know that what comes next is going to be belittling. Then you have te after hanataba. So this te will be a huge part of the grammar we'll study. But since it's not the best sentence to study it, I won't really explain it here. Basically, you use it to name something or to quote something. But here, let's learn a new phrase by heart. Because after te, you have you, the verb you, which means to say, but also to call. And so when you want to say how something is called, you can use the expression ex to you or ex te you to name the thing. So it means it's called X. Te is the colloquial version of to. So once again, it's the same thing. It's just that to feels more written or formal, while te is conversational. So for example, 日本語でバラと言います. So in Japanese, it's called bara. You see, bara to 言います. The to indicates that bara will be the name. And then the more conversational phrasing, 日本語でバラって言うんです. 日本語でバラって言うんです. But it's the same meaning. So literally, that sentence means, in Japanese, we say bara. And te or to indicates that bara is a quote. You quote the name of the thing. We say what? We say bara. You quote it. And yes, we'll see in another video, but if some of you thought, hey, maybe that's the same to that we use with tomo, then you're right. You're right. To is a particle used to quote things, and we've just seen it with omo, but it works with any speech verb. And by the way, if you want to know the question to use when you want to know how something is called, you can use 日本語で rose は何と言いますか? or 日本語で rose は何て言うんですか? Which literally means a rose is called what in Japanese, or even more literally in Japanese, for rose, we say what? And so you see that basically is the exact same thing as when you say bara to iimasu. You just replace the name of the thing by nan, so what, which makes sense. So just be careful because you see that the te loses its little tu after nan. And of course, here I'm just giving two examples of the way you can phrase this expression, but you have, once again, 10,000 ways of phrasing it. Okay, and finally, you is conjugated in the negative form. You see it because of the nai. So remember, nai always equals a negation. But it's also in the potential form. So when you see a verb stem in e, then it's the potential form. Kakeru, nomeru, ikeru, kaereru, etc., etc. And so you can translate it by kan. So I'm not giving you the conjugation right away. We'll see later. But if you can remember this, it's quite easy and it will be useful. And so ienai can't say, can't call. Okay, and if it was not a negation, that it would be ieru. So can say, can call. Okay, so we've already translated it bit by bit, but try to translate the sentence as a whole. So we've got 一本ね, just one. 一本じゃ with only one. 花束って言えない. We can't call it a bouquet. It can't be called a bouquet. And finally, a sentence ending particle that we haven't seen, wa. So you can use it to affirm what you feel. It indicates that you affirm what you feel. So when you want to express your opinion or conclusion about something, when you kind of assert an idea as true. So this is what. Okay, now let's end the extract with the 3 last sentences, which will be way easier and actually you can understand them. So here is the vocabulary. Read it thoroughly and try to understand the extract.
一本ね。一本じゃ花束って言えないわ。
カードが落ちたわ。窓開けるわよ。もうちゃんとしてちょうだい。今日は忙しいんだから。
カードが落ちたわ。So that's one, very easy. Your card fell, and that's it. Though we can notice 2 things. First, you have ga and not wa. So it's the same reason that we've studied before. It's because they weren't talking about the card at all. It kind of pops out of nowhere. And the fact that she falls kind of pop out of nowhere too. So remember that when you don't know what you're talking about, you use ga and not wa. And also when you see something, you're making a pure objective description of what is happening in front of your eyes. And so, of course, when something happens in front of your eyes, most often you are giving some new information, you see? So this is why we use ga here and not wa. And then here we have wa once again. But let's add a new thing about this wa. It is used mainly by women. So actually, you kind of have 2 different wa. Well, it's the same particle, but it's got 2 different uses. And one use can sometimes be used by men, and the other one can only be used by women. But we won't get into details. And as for the wa that is used by women, anyway, it's not used so much nowadays anymore. If you go to Japan, young women won't probably use it. And so, when you watch an anime and you hear a female character say wa, 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 wa all the time at the end of her sentences, you know that this character is built to sound very, very feminine. And so, of course, the way she's talking is absolutely not realistic, because no woman would do that in real life. But it's always the very elegant ladies, something like that, you see. Anyway, they're very feminine, kind of a little bit arrogant sometimes. But so for the moment, I then recommend that you never use wa. It will be simpler this way. You won't make any mistake that will make you sound odd. And we'll see for the wa that we can still use today, nowadays, later. 窓開けるわよ. So here, try to guess the particle that is omitted between mado and akeru. So of course it's o because she is opening what? The window. It's not the window that is opening her, of course. So it's not going to be mado ga akeru. It's her that is opening the window. So it's the object. So o mado o akeru. So be careful. We'll see later why. Akeru is when someone is doing the action of opening something. Okay? So, mado wa akeru wa yo, I'm opening the window. And you see, that can also combine sentence endings particles to add their respective meaning. So, for people who watch lots of anime, I bet that you've heard sentences ending with yone, for example. That might be the most common. So, it's completely possible. And the last sentence, もうちゃんとしてちょうだい. 今日は忙しいんだから. もうちゃんとしてちょうだい. So, ちゃんとする to behave oneself. So, to stay still, to stay quiet. And so, we've seen てください. てください for a polite order. And here you have てちょうだい. てちょうだい. So, it's like the same as てください. But ください is the formal polite version. while ちょうだい is the colloquial version, and that is, by the way, feminine and childish. So if you're a man, don't use it. And of course, then you use it with people that are close to you. But if you listen to a conversation between young women, you might hear てちょうだい quite often. So it's just an order. Nothing more to say about it. So, もうちゃんとしてちょうだい. So please behave yourself. And then 今日は忙しいんだから. So, から is more or less the same as ので. So it expresses a reason. What's before is a reason. The difference is that から is more assertive and subjective than ので. When you use ので, you just want to express a reason and that's it. But when you say から, we kind of feel that the speaker is really involved when he says that. So basically we can say that ので is softer than から. So if you want to be polite, you can use ので instead of から. But of course, what I'm saying is, like, it's not because you use から that you won't be polite. So for the moment, don't pay so much attention to this, and we'll see little by little. We'll try to figure out when to use から, when to use ので. And so here the mother uses から because, well, she is being subjective. Of course, since she's talking to her girl, we kind of feel that she's kind of tired of her sulking, etc., etc. So please behave yourself. And so the から is here combined with an んだ. That you might know by heart now, so to give an explanatory feel to the sentence. And so the translation would be, come on now. So the も, yes, I didn't talk about it, but も, we've seen that it means already or not yet with a negation, but it can also be used as kind of a come on now. So もうちゃんとしてちょうだい. Come on now, behave yourself. 今日は忙しいんだから because we're busy today. And so だから are the new ones that I'm giving you a good reason plus explanation why you have to behave. So we feel that the mother is really insistent here. And so of course, these two sentences should be just one sentence. 今日は忙しいんだからもうちゃんとしてちょうだい. But once again, we're in speech, in a conversation, and so she adds the reason after. Okay, and that's done for the extract for Chihiro. The next one we're going to study is Shingeki no Kyojin. So good luck and have fun.